was just like, oh, I'm here and you're there. It never felt like a team at all. So now that we're together and we can do something and build something together, it feels so much more better. And I feel like we can achieve more as a couple and grow more for each other. Because there were times where I really need him, and yet thankfully he can just be there for me at those times. And just personally, because he's been there for me, I've grown exponentially, learned so much more about myself, and of course learn more about him.
Welcome to the J Wells CFO Show. I'm the host, Jeremy Wells, and with me is going to be two fantastic guests today. I'm really looking forward to talking to these two. They are a power couple making and shaking things up in the real estate industry in the Jacksonville, Florida area. With me today are my guests, Fabian Vargas. Fabian is a realtor and a licensed community association manager, so we're going to hear a little bit about what that means. And we've also got his wife and partner here, Pamela Vargas, who is also a realtor. Really interested in the dynamic of how you two are working together and joining forces. So definitely going to get into that in the conversation. But let's start off here. I'm going to turn it over to you two. Give us a little bit of your background, a little bit of your story, and how you're helping people.
All right, excellent. I'll take it away.
Yeah,
so my name is Fabian Vargas. We're here in the Jacksonville area. Like he said, I'm licensed community association manager as well as a real estate agent. Transitioning into commercial real estate at the moment with broker SVR Realty. So a little bit about it. I got two licenses, which is the LCAM and the real estate agent license. It's two separate licenses. The real estate license, of course, is sales, and the licensed community association manager is to manage HOAs and condominiums. Both Florida state licenses, two different monsters, two different things. The LCAM is more of a financial and managing type license, and of course the real estate license is a sales license. But combined, it allows me to bring a lot of value to people, as well as bigger companies like asset management and property management companies. So really interesting. It's great. I absolutely love it. I love bringing value to people. I love helping people. And that's what got me into this industry. And I absolutely love it. Yeah. Take it away.
Well, I've been always wanting to get into real estate ever since in my 20s, but I never found like a good spot. I was born and raised in New Jersey. I didn't have a great support system there. And then we moved again to Tennessee and thought about it. But then we actually started into a different venture. We were thinking about, maybe open up a food truck, but that didn't go through. And then he ended up having a transfer for a position here in Jacksonville, Florida. So I said, yes, let's go to Florida, because we know we've always wanted to go to Florida. When we first came down here, real estate wasn't the first thing on my mind. We actually opened up a little retail store. So that was the beginning of my entrepreneurship. Getting to know the community, getting out there and selling furniture, clothing, anything household related, basically. So then we got out of that after a few months, and then we opened up a shaved ice trailer. So that was amazingly fun. I enjoyed it so much, just selling shaved ice to families, birthday parties, to the communities. It was just a great venture. And it was named after our daughter. So she came along with us as well. So it was a great family event. And I was like, oh, this is great, going from always to North Jacksonville, all the way down to St. Augustine, Ponte Vedra, wherever we can go. We drove our little trailer everywhere we could. After that venture, that's when I started realizing I wanted to get into real estate. I was like, all right, so I got my license November of 2017. So I've been in it for about 2 years now. Love the hustle, love what I can bring into the community. And it's just a great reward at the end, just, having people realize that they can actually get their dream home in the end. So, yeah, love it.
Yeah, that's a little bit of the story.
Yeah.
Well, tell me a little bit about how you two wound up together. I mean, sitting here as this couple that are now working in the same space. Tell us about how you two wound up together.
Oh, wow. That was 11 years ago.
11
We've
years
been together for 11 years, married 10 years next week, actually. On the 17th is our 10-year wedding
Congratulations.
anniversary.
Thank you.
But this is when he was living in Brooklyn at the time, and I was living in New Jersey. I was working as an administrative assistant to a trucking company, and he was a worker there. And that's how we met, at the same workplace. And really,
honestly, we didn't like each other.
We didn't like each other.
We didn't like each other in the beginning. It was a love and hate. I'm from Brooklyn, she's from Jersey, and I think we just clashed. It was the battle of the Titans. I thought she was the stuck-up Jersey gold digger, and she thought I was cocky. And I guess opposites attract, because we just one day we just started talking, actually got to know each other, which is, it's a good lesson, because so many people judge by the book of by the book cover. So many people judge people by just the way they come off and never really dig deep into who they are.
Right.
And that was my mistake. So I judged her right away from how she moved, how she acted, and then once we actually got to talking one day, I'm like, oh man, we actually have stuff in common. I mean, this is awesome.
Yeah.
The more we talked, the more we hit it off, and before you know it, we started going out, conversating more, and one thing led to another. And now 10 years later, 11 years later, we're married with a kid.
We're here.
so hustling and bustling, man. Yeah, it was awesome. I'm glad
that's fantastic. That's interesting. That's interesting. That's great to hear. Let's stay on that for a second. Do you talk about this lesson you learned of, don't judge people by the cover, right? And so don't judge a book by its cover, and how this applies to people, and that it took a little bit of opening up, getting to know each other, but then once you did, obviously this turned into a relationship that seems to be working out for the two of you. Has that translated into the way you two do business?
Yes,
absolutely,
100%. We've learned. I'm glad we learned lessons early on. Of course, every day we still learn lessons.
Sure.
I like to say that I'm an educator of life. Every day I seek to learn as much as I can, especially with people, because I'm a good people person. Well, in this business, you have to be a people person. And it's not just for the sales part. It's really, truly, we believe in building relationships for life. It's not just a one-time show. We don't do one-time transactions. I really want to know the people we come across, the people we help, and I want to build those relationships for life. Maybe it'll trickle to more business, maybe it won't, but I really seek to add value to people. And getting to know people, like what we're talking about, getting to know people is a humongous part of it.
You just don't know.
You just don't. Yeah.
And when you find out that special gem about them, you can just take it forward and go with it.
And the best relationships that we've built so far have come out of rocky situations. They really have. And I think it's because we've opted to figure it out and try to solve the problem and not allow us to give up.
Right.
And I think people appreciate that a lot, because they feel the passion, they know you care. Because a lot of people could just be like, you know what, this is too hard, I'm gone, I don't want nothing to do with it, I don't even know you, I might never do business with you again, I'm just gonna walk away from it. We're not like that. Nope. We're here to solve it, we're here to figure it out, try to bring as much value and bring the solution to the table, and then move on from there.
It's not about the transaction at all. It's more about the relationship building. Trust is a huge factor in it. So anything that you can give, the more you can give, the more that you're going to get in the end. So I believe 100%. Giving is such a huge component of the business. 100%. So if you start that in that direction, you are going to make it big.
100%. And that's what brings us great, because we're so opposite with each other. She's the socialite. She loves to talk, she'll go out and
I love to mingle and socialize. I'm a social butterfly. So I'll go ahead and I will shake everybody's hand, tell them who I am and what I can offer you and see what I can do for you, anything. And then I bring it in, and if things start to get a little where I need some negotiation help, that's where he comes in. He's really good at the numbers and negotiations. So.
I'm more of the professional. I'm ex-law enforcement. So I had a long career in law enforcement in New York, New Jersey, and Tennessee. So I'm more of that straight edge, guy, like, let's get down to business. Let's just, stop the sugarcoating, no more small talk. Let's just figure it out. And then once we figure it out and negotiations stop when we get a deal, now let's go out and have some fun. But right now, let's just focus on what we need to do, and that's it. So we make a good team like that, because she'll, like she said, she'll sugarcoat everything, get everybody, the You break the ice and all that good stuff, and then I'll come in and all right, let's get down to business.
Right.
And that's it. And then we'll go back to the way we were.
Right.
And move on.
And that's no, that's awesome. That's awesome because it's you get the benefit of a business partner that brings in that complements you and your skill set, right? Without having to split the revenue, without having to split the profits, right? Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. No, that's interesting. Go ahead.
Yeah, with the whole couple thing, it's going to that, not only to split the profit, but because we're husband and wife, it's not like a business partner or a business partnership. When you have an issue with a business partner, at the end of the day, you guys split up at the offices. One goes home to his family, one goes home to her family. And then the next day, then they'll figure it out. They get to sleep on it and they'll figure it out. Yeah. With us, we have to go to bed together.
So we have to figure it out still.
So, the conversation is going to continue until it gets situated.
Right.
And I think it's good both ways, because not only do we have more time to figure it out, and we don't want to go bad angry with each other because now it's affecting our relationship, but we also have more time to talk about business. Right. And we also could, like in the middle of the night, if we're brainstorming and we're both up late because our brain is just going, we could have that conversation. Minus that particular business partner his brain is always on versus the one that's not. He could be sleeping. You don't want to call him to wake him up because he's not going to care. And by the time you guys get to the office, now you forgot everything you were going to say. So I think overall, as far as the marriage is concerned, for us, it works better because we're always with each other and we're always trying to stay on track. We're always setting goals. We're always talking about ideas and opinions. And it's just, for us, it works better. I've had business partners in the past. Some were good, some were bad. But honestly, I got to say, with every venture that I've been in and every business partner that I've had in the past, this business partnership is the best. I would not ask for anything more. I wouldn't. It works for us. It might not work for a lot of people, because a lot of people always ask us, how the hell do you guys do it? You guys are married, I can never work with my husband or my wife. I would kill him or her.
A lot too.
But, but with us, it's excellent, man. It works. And I wouldn't take anything out of it.
Awesome. No, so I guess you kind of lead me into the follow-up question then, is because if your personal life and business life are so intertwined, then how do you manage the difference between the two? Like, do you come to a point where you say, okay, we have to stop being in business for a moment because I need some personal time with you, And so even though we're still stuck on this business deal, we're trying to figure out, we need a date night, or we need to just get away for a night, or a weekend or something like that. So how do you two decide when to draw the line between business and personal?
I think we feed off each other. I think we do feed off each other.
What I'll do is I'll maybe suggest one night, just clear our minds. Let's go out. Let's have a little bit of fun, especially with us we have a 9-year-old daughter. Mm-hmm. So yes, we do have to stop some of it, which is fine, just so we can have that family time with her. And, she loves going to Dave & Buster's. So we'll go to Dave & Buster's and have some fun, and go to the park, be a kid again, and, all of that. And, so we do definitely put that in our schedule, absolutely, for sure. It's good to get your mind unwinded a little bit, so you can. And sometimes that's actually good, because then you can come back into business with such a clear mind, because you took it off for so long. You'll come up with actually better ideas and better solutions to the problem that you're having.
Right. And to her point, the scheduling part is big. A lot of people that I've talked to, like my own family, that are not entrepreneurs and have never owned a business. When I talk about scheduling and time for my wife and my daughter, they're like, "Oh my God, that sounds horrible."
Right.
Because how do you pencil in your own wife and your daughter? I said, it doesn't sound as horrible as it sounds. I said, because you have to put in the time in the calendar, because then it would not be done. Because what happens is things come up, and then now you're actually being counterproductive, because you're pushing them away, because now you didn't schedule anything. So now you're trying to prioritize your business versus your family. So if you actually schedule your family time in there, you get everything done, and now you shut your phone off when it's time for them, and everybody knows that this is family time. Don't call me, don't bother me, email me, text me, and I'll get back to you when I can. And that's it. All other family-oriented people understand that, and if you don't understand it, then you know what? You're gonna have to learn to understand it if you want to do business with me, because I do have a family. And please care for that and understand that, and shutting everything off, spending time with the family, putting it on the calendar, and then sticking to that calendar. That's what's the most important thing. Right. And it works. It works for us. So that's the way we're going to continue doing it.
And I feel that. So, I do a lot of my scheduling through a tool called Calendly. It's an online, appointment scheduler. And so I send somebody a link and they see available time slots that is based off of a feed from my existing calendar appointments. And I have to go through and I have to block off times to say that this is time for lunch. I work from home. So I need to have at least half an hour, 45 minutes to go out, check in with my wife. We have a 2-year-old daughter. So, that lunch comes right before her nap time. So I need to go spend a little bit of time with her before she goes down for her nap, put in a little bit of time for bath time. If I'm free that night, I'm going to be the one to give her a bath, put her down. So yeah, you see these things on the calendar and you're right. I've talked to people as well before that, it seems strange, right? Why are you mixing the business and personal on your calendar? And because, it goes back to, Stephen Covey, the 7 habits of highly effective people, right? He talks about the big rocks and then the medium rocks and the small rocks. And if you put all the small rocks in first, there's no room for the big rocks, right? But if you put the big rocks in first, then there's room for the medium rocks and the small rocks because they all kind of filter down through the big rocks. And so, yeah, absolutely. I think putting those personal appointments on that calendar just makes it that much clearer to you and everybody else that, hey, this is what I have to go do. Now, that's fantastic. I relate to that as well. Now, back in my day, it was Chuck E. Cheese. That's where I made my, for the family time and the games. So a couple times a year, we'd go there, get some pizza, play some games. Haven't been to Dave & Buster's yet, but like I said, with a 2-year-old, I'm thinking it won't be very long before. I remember my dad talking about how, it's a great way to just spend a whole paycheck in one stop. Going to
we had our Chuck E. Cheese days when she was younger. Yeah. Now that she got older, now it's like she's kind of growing out of Chuck E. Cheese, and now it's Dave & Buster's. Dave & Buster's is the steroids of Chuck E. Cheese.
Like,
so
now adults can enjoy it too. Yay!
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, you'll have a little time before your Dave & Buster's days. You still got the Chuck E. Cheese days. So.
No, that's great. But so it sounds like, though, especially you, Pamela, it sounds like you started off where you were kind of doing separate things with the store and then the shaved ice stand. So is it easier or harder now that you're both kind of doing the same thing to do all that scheduling, to do all that communication, or because I think, like you said, some couples would look at other married couples working together and see that as a nightmare, right? I already have to spend all the personal time with this person. I want to spend working hours too. So, and obviously you two are making this work now, but what was the difference between each of you having your own separate things versus now you're doing this thing together?
It's a lot easier. And I love that now, instead of, I feel like we're separated. Back then it was just like, oh, I'm here and you're there. It never felt like a team at all. So now that we're together and we can do something and build something together, it feels so much more better. And I feel like we can achieve more as a couple and grow more for each other. Because there were times where I really need him, and yet thankfully he can just be there for me at those times. And just personally, because he's been there for me, I've grown exponentially, learned so much more about myself, and of course learn more about him. And that's what makes us work so well together. The fact that now we are together in the same business, we learn from each other. And yeah, there are those times where we can get irritated at each other, and one of us will have to separate and walk away. Yesterday morning was one of those moments, but we just learned to, okay, sit back down, go back to the beginning, see where we kind of fell off and work through it. And the moment you can work through it and find where that kink was, smooth it out and just keep on going. Don't linger on it. Just stay on the positive mindset that you're going to get through this, and then work together as a team and just go for it.
Yeah, it's not it's not
butterflies and
right,
rainbows,
yeah,
it's like anything else. Marriage and business is hard work. And the number one thing is communication. And of course, the other thing is compromise. So communication and compromise are two big things when it comes to business and marriage.
Right.
So if you have those and you can work through those, you're gold.
Right.
You can get through this.
Yeah. And I think because being married, because we love each other so much and we want each other to succeed so much, the passion. So when we get into disagreements, because we have so much passion for it, not only for what we do, but for each other, the arguments seem a little more heated versus, your regular business partnership. Right. So, and it comes out, the passion, the love comes out, and it's just not the disagreement part. It just becomes very emotional. Yeah. But we've learned where we have to, when it gets like that, now we have to think about everything, our business partnership, our marriage, our love, our little girl. We think about everything. So we stop and we both take a breather. Like we go to each other's corner, like in a boxing ring, we take a breather, and then we come back and then we're like, okay, what was this about again? Let's backtrack. Let's try to figure this out because we ain't getting nowhere. And then let's find a solution and move forward. Right. So it's not just, like I said, it's not just, like you said, it's not all about rainbows and unicorns all the time. It can get passionate. Yeah, it can really get passionate. But we make it work, man. And I wouldn't do anything else. Yeah, we make it work.
That's great. That's great. No, I can relate to you on that because so my wife, she stays home with our 2-year-old, but I work from home. So we're essentially in the same space, and both technically on the documents, but just also as how our relationship goes, we're business partners, right? We're both co-owners of the business. So I do all the work, but as far as actually getting the work done, meeting with clients, but then all of that I bring home to her, and I got to talk things through with her. I get, because in the same way as a similar way to you two, we complement each other in that I'm much more of the numbers person, the crunching the data, the analytical kind of thinking, but then she's much more on the empathy side and reading through the lines of what people said. I'll come home and I'll tell her, oh, well, this happened. And she'll say, but what did they actually say? Right. And how, and I'll try to repeat verbatim, and she'll figure out, what they really meant that I wouldn't have picked up on, without her. And so in that way, it's a really good teamwork. But then, I will find that the most frustrated she gets, when we do get into those heated conversations is, it ends up that she's actually being defensive of me, right? That she's worried about, me winding up with a bad business deal, or winding up with, a client or a prospect trying to take advantage of me or something. At least, she sees it happening that way. And so it's not really us fighting. It's just, like you said, it's both of us being passionate about trying to make this business work, trying to make our life together work, trying to make the relationship work. And it can be a lot of pressure. It can be a lot of pressure, both as an individual and as a couple, that you're just constantly kind of working through, and to do it both in terms of a marriage and this business it's a lot, and especially when there's so much interaction between those two things, because however the business goes, it determines a lot of how we go. So trying to make the relationship work and the business work at the same time, it's a lot of work for sure.
It's tough, and I think that's why, at least for us, and we study a lot of successful people, a lot of successful couples in general, because being that we're trying to build something as a couple, we like to study other couples that are successful. And I think, and like I said, this is just my opinion. Everybody's gonna have their other opinion, but for me, it works because I want somebody with me that's aligned. Like, I want to be married, and I want to have a partner that's aligned with with my goals. I think, like in the past, when I've had relationships that I wasn't aligned with them, it was one of those things where my partner would have goals and would go one way, and I would go with the other. And then during the day, everybody would be separated, and then at night we would come back. But because each other didn't understand our goals and our alignment, it was kind of counterproductive, because one, I couldn't communicate with them because they wouldn't understand where I was going. And when I would ask for an opinion, their opinion would not pertain to what I was trying to get to, because they didn't understand and they didn't know. With us that we're together, we could actually give ourselves opinions, and our goals are aligned with where we want to go. So both of us could fight that much harder now. And it's just not one person fighting. There's two of us fighting, and we're fighting for the same goal, and for the same dreams, and for the same vision. So it just makes it that much better. It does. Because entrepreneurship is a lonely road. Yep. The majority of people do not understand entrepreneurship. Mm-hmm. They think it's the craziest thing in the world. There's no security. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what's coming tomorrow. You don't know what's the next paycheck. a lot of people don't understand it, and most people we talk to, they were not even.
They wouldn't do it. They love that security.
They want the
of
security. They
having
want the
their
paycheck.
every week.
Yeah.
And,
So
you
it's
know,
lonely.
I live for tomorrow.
Yeah.
I live for the unknown, and you know, I used to fear it. Or that whole face everything and run, or what's the other verse of it? And just
fight or
fear,
and
and rise.
Yeah.
So I look forward to the unknown of tomorrow, because I love just the mystery of where everything is going to go, and not everything's a straight line. Everything, success is all over the place, and it's definitely an adventure, and it's not for everybody.
Right.
You really have to have thick skin, and you really have to be focused on what you want, focus on know where you want to go in the future. Goals are being aligned, of course, that's a huge thing. And once you have that, and you don't let anybody come in your way, go for it. You will succeed.
And because same mentality, it just makes it that much easier than having to do it by yourself.
But you're absolutely right, and it's interesting because I was, before I came into accounting and which turned into self-employment, I had been of that very similar mindset that I was brought up with, and I believed for a long time of get you a good W-2 job with a decent salary and benefits, and you'll be okay, right? And there's only so much stability there as long as that business stays in business. And as long as whoever your boss is okay with you working there, right? And that can become very unstable very quickly, either one of those things, right? And so, I talk about this a lot with my own clients who are starting side gigs or thinking about, going from their W-2 job into, they've had something on the side going for a while, and they're trying to figure out whether they want to go full time with that or not. And and there's always that, I think a lot of people confuse what they think is stability with actually what is just comfort, right? It feels comfortable. It's what you're used to. It's what a lot of us were raised to believe is the way you should do it, right? Go to college, get a degree, get a good job, and then, try to get promoted, move up through the ranks through the company. But the whole time you're still just an employee, right? And I think a lot of people find comfort in that, right? Because that's what they've been brought up with. And so therefore they assume, it's stable, right? As long as it's comfortable, it's stable. And so that's definitely a conversation I've had a lot of times with different clients about, what that relative stability actually is. Because when you're in business for yourself, it's all up to you, right? Whether you're in business tomorrow or not is up to you, right? Now, granted, you got to go out there and make it work. You got to make money come in. You got to sell. You got to do that kind of stuff. But if you want to shut down the business tomorrow, you can shut down the business tomorrow. If you want to keep the business going tomorrow, you can keep the business going tomorrow. It's up to you. You want to hire and fire people, it's up to you, right? But yeah, I think I definitely, it's a big conversation to have with people who are from that, being an employee is stable, mindset. Absolutely.
Yeah. And, I look at it, everybody has a place in the world. Not everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. And I don't think everybody should be an entrepreneur, because we need employees, obviously, because if we grow, us entrepreneurs, since we're always seeking better and we're visionaries and we're always out there in the hustle, we're always going to need a backbone and a good group and a team to help us get there. And we seek out those good employees. So it's not that entrepreneurship is the best way to go, and it's not that the employee mindset is the worst ways to go. It's just everybody has their place in life. Like I said, most people we come across, they'd rather be an employee. Great. Those are the ones that I look for, because once I could build this where we need our own employees, I could see who are the good people out there that are great employees, and then I'm going to try to recruit them so they could come work for us. But at the same time, like we were going back to saying, it's just hard to have that conversation with most people because they don't understand. So I always try to attract the ones that I can relate with and talk to, and which is very minimal, But once you get them, you just attract it, And kind of with that said, I'm going to go with, I don't know if you know who David Goggins is, but I follow David Goggins immensely. And he has a quote that he says that he wants to be the most uncommon out of the most uncommon. And that's what I try to seek for. I always seek out to be, because I am uncommon, because most people don't understand me. So I seek other uncommon people, other people that just are not making sense to most, but they make sense to me, because those are the visionaries. Those are the people that are going to change the world. And we need those people, just like we need great employees. Right. So it just depends where in life and what your journey is. We have our journey, you have your journey, everybody has their own journey. So if your journey is to be the best employee, my advice is be the best employee.
Yeah.
Work hard, hit it hard, be the best employee. But the same way that you're hitting it hard to be the best employee, we're hitting it hard to try to build a business.
Right. Exactly.
So it's the same. It's kind of similar mindset. It's just the path is different. That's really the only thing.
I still get friends and relatives sending me job listings in my field, right? That look, you could make more if you went and got this job doing this. And I sit there and I say, yeah, maybe next year I'd make more, right? But what about the year after that? What about the year after that? You know, and what am I giving up in order to move into that? You know, and so yeah, it's inside you. You know, it's not a how is the market going? It's not a is there opportunity in your field kind of question. It's just what's inside you, what drives you, you know, which direction do you feel driven in? Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's, you know, being self-employed for us, I'm in control of what I could do in the marketplace. You know, we're in control of how much value we could bring. We're in control of how much education and how much training we give ourselves in order to bring more value to the marketplace. We're in charge of who do we work with, who we don't work with. We're in charge of every path that we take. You know, when we've worked with people, because we're so strong-hearted and we want to do as much as we can, at least for me, when I've worked for somebody in a W-2 position, I've been limited to what my boss allowed me to do. And I've never wanted that, because you have to go by the company policies. You have to go by what your boss allows you to do. And if you feel that you could help this client so much more and better, you could get fired for that. It could be counterproductive, because now you are
as a threat.
Right. And I've never cared for that, because I want to be in charge of how much I could help you, not allow somebody else to tell me how much I could help that person.
Yeah.
Because I think you're doing a disservice to somebody by not helping them the best you can and being the best you can with your client, which is why we opted to just go into business for ourselves. Because it's like, okay, I don't want you to tie me down and tell me what I could do with who I am or what I'm capable of. I don't want you to be in charge of my capabilities. Let me be in charge of my own capabilities. And I'm okay with taking the responsibility.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, while I've got you on here, let me make sure I address this too, because you brought up the licensed community association manager. Tell me a little bit about what that is, because you know, I think most of us at some point are going to deal with a realtor in terms of, you know, trying to find a home, this kind of stuff. But tell us about the LCAM and what that means.
Yeah. So the LCAM stands for Licensed Community Association Manager. It's a separate license. It's a state-ran license. I still have to go through the business department to get it. Fingerprints, all the 9 yards, just like the real estate exam is. It's just, this is for LCAM. The LCAM is basically just to manage homeowners associations, HOAs, or condominium associations. So what the LCAM does is it allows an HOA to seek out a person like myself that's licensed with the state to manage their association. So I'm sort of a third party in the middle of the HOA and the residents. So a lot of residents that contribute to HOA fees and condominiums fees, they feel that if the HOA is completely in charge of the finances, then there's going to be, how do they keep track, and how is it that they could trust the HOA board to pretty much govern the funds. So somebody like me gets licensed, and now it's my responsibility, held through the state and the business department, for me to sit down and manage their funds, manage their events, manage everything as far as their meetings and all that stuff, and even the voting and all that stuff. I get to manage all that. So I'm kind of a mediator between both parties, because there's so many situations where, you know, residents are asking, okay, I'm giving, you know, $2,000 a year to live in this community. Where is my money going? The streets are still messed up. The sidewalks are still messed up. Nobody's doing any events. All right, where's my $2,000 a year going? And the HOA could say whatever they want if there's no licensed community association manager. They could say, oh no, we're taking it, or we're doing it here, or we had to clean the pool or something like that. We had to put in new amenities. But they could just write a piece of paper saying that they did it and keep the money. Nobody will know anything. Somebody like me that's licensed through the state, now I'm held accountable. I can't lie, because I could get my license taken away, I could get fined, or I could face jail. So now the residents feel better that there's somebody managing the funds, and then the HOA, that responsibility gets taken away from them. So that's pretty much
And,
it's a big responsibility, but yeah, it's good.
absolutely. And it seems like anymore, you pretty much just can't find a house without being part of an HOA anymore. I mean, because when I remember growing, I mean, I was born in 1985, and the first time I heard of an HOA was, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. I mean, it just my whole childhood growing up, and my parents bought and sold houses, a few times when I was growing up. The HOA, those 3 letters, I never heard them, until I went out and looked for my first house, like I say, 5 or 6 years ago. So that's it took me a long time to come to grips with the fact that, wait, I'm going to have a mortgage payment and pay these HOA dues on top of that, and so it puts you in this position where absolutely, like as a resident of that neighborhood, I really want to know where that extra, I know the mortgage payment, I know where that's going to, that's so I can live in this house, but that HOA, I really want to make sure, especially given the fact that these are benefits and amenities that everybody else is going to get, all my neighbors are going to get, not just me, right? I pay the mortgage on my house. That's for my house. It's not for anybody else's house, right? But the HOA is for anybody and everybody. And that includes, people who sneak onto the property, people who, invite, 20 friends over one day and they crash the pool and make it to where nobody else can enjoy the pool and all these kinds of things, so there have definitely been times where I've sat back and said, okay, this HOA thing is new to me, but I need to learn more about this and how this works so that, as somebody paying into this, I understand what's going on and how it works. So yeah, definitely. I appreciate that role of the property manager, sort of, stand not necessarily in between, but standing there to the side, making sure, that there's a good relationship going on there, because especially, we talk about the residents and the HOA as if they were 2 completely separate things. But then you look at the board meeting and these are your neighbors, these are people who live a few doors down from you. So, and just because they're your neighbors doesn't necessarily mean, like you're saying, that you should be able to trust them, but you don't know if you can. And so having somebody that sort of third party there is a real benefit to the HOA. And I think it's definitely I know it's usually one of the major expenses for an HOA, but I, other than the sort of general operating and the reserve funds and those kinds of things, but I think it's definitely a necessary one for sure.
I believe so, which is why I got my license, so I could get into this, because I believe it is necessary. It puts it kind of puts both places in the balance of everything else, because now everybody could go back, like you said, these are your neighbors that you're living with, and you never want that kind of static and every time you go outside, the vice chair is there or something like that, and you're in back of your mind, you're saying hi, but in back of your mind, you're like, I don't know what you do with my money,
Right.
But so just leave it, just put everything to the licensed community association, man. Let the professionals handle it. Like if you hire, any other professional, any other contractor or vendor, let a professional handle it and let them deal with it, because that's what they get paid for and that's what they educated for. So yeah, I think it's important and it's necessary.
Good deal. Awesome. Well, it has been an absolute pleasure having you two on here. Thank you very much for coming to the show. If listeners want to get a hold of you, if they want to reach out to you and find out more about, especially being a couple working together in the same business, or they want to get into real estate, or they want to get into association management like this, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
I would just say, just look up FP Vargas Group. That's what we kind of combined each other. Instead of saying Fabian and Pam, F obviously stands for Fabian, P stands for Pam. So we just put FP and our last name Vargas. And then, our LLC is group. So just put FP Vargas Group. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We have our YouTube channel. FP Vargas Show is our YouTube channel. And you go to Facebook, our Facebook page is probably the most active page. So you're going to just look us up, FP Vargas Group on Facebook, and you'll find every other social media avenue there. We're always posting on there. So, and we're happy to help. So if you need any information, I'm more than happy to answer any questions.
Good deal. Awesome. We'll have links to all that in the show notes and description so that people can get that information quickly. Again, thank you very much for being here. Thank you to the listeners and the watchers. The show notes and descriptions will be available. You can find everything that we talked about in this episode there. You can find me, Jeremy Wells, at JWellsCFO on most of the social media platforms out there, especially Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Again, this is the J. Wells CFO Show. Thank you so much, Fabian and Pamela. Really enjoyed having you here. Thank you to the listeners. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.